Hello everybody, this is Sherry at djsundry.blogspot.com. Welcome to day 4 of the special week over at Getting Cricky. Now you can see I have a big mess here, and I have to tell you this card is super simple that we're going to use or to make today. Now I am using the Coffee and Tea for You and Me, and the only one that I'm using today is the main set, the sentiment set, and I'm using Our Friendship is the Perfect Blend. So once again, I'm making a card that has nothing to do with coffee. So let's get started. The first thing I did is I went to mycutsearch.com. I think I've mentioned that site before, but it is an awesome site for helping you. All you have to do is it has its own search engine, and you put in a keyword for the shape that you're searching for, and it'll pop up every cartridge that shape appears in. And I wanted an ice cream cone, and so the ice cream cone that I liked the best out of the cartridges I had was from Doodle Charms on page 107. I wanted a double scoop cone though, so what I did is I cut the base of the ice cream cone at 3 inches, and then when I went to cut the shift for the layer, I cut it actually 3 times. And the reason I had to cut it 3 times is because I needed a cherry, I needed a vanilla, and I needed a chocolate. So because the cherry's not separate, I ended up cutting it 3 times. Now the other fun thing about today's project is everything that I'm using as far as paper goes is from my scrap pile. I didn't pull out any fresh paper for that. So I have this polka dot paper. I've used this on a recent project. I'm sure you remember seeing that. But this is the side I wanted to use today. And I cut a piece of my leftover scrap, which I still have enough to save. I've loved that paper. But I cut a piece of that at 4 inches wide by 2 inches tall. And then I took a piece of cream colored cardstock, which is very similar to my vanilla here, which I didn't think about that. I think it'll still work though. And I cut this at, I think it's like 3.5 inches tall by 4 inches wide. And the reason why, I know that that's taller than what my card will be a little bit, but I wanted to have a little bit of overlap for when I put them together, and I'll show you why in a minute. And as I mentioned, I cut my shapes out of the Doodle Charms on page 107 at 3 inches. And then I took a piece of craft cardstock that actually was in my scraps already cut. It was from another project. I must have used the other half. And this is just half of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So that's 8.5 inches wide and 5.5 inches tall. And I've already scored that. Remember some of the problem I've had previously with forgetting to pre-score it and then having a rough edge. And I didn't want that this time. So it's pre-scored and ready to go. So there's my card base, and I still managed to not get it straight. Okay, so there's my card base, right like this. Okay, so let's start by putting together our ice cream cone. Before we do, I want to ink up the edges of each piece. And the first, I'm using Gathered Twigs Distress ink, and that's actually the only ink I'm using for this whole project because it's going to, it reminds me of chocolate when it's stamped. So we'll put that there. And notice I didn't do the top because the top of that one's not going to show at all. And that one, yeah. Kind of got a little messy there, but I think it'll be okay. And then this one, you're not going to see a lot of the stress, but this whole piece will show. So I want to be sure and get that whole thing. And then the whole cherry will show. Now I have to admit the cherry is a little brighter red than I would like for my card. So I pulled out my Frosted Lace Distress Stickles, and we're going to apply that. I'm hoping that that will kind of mute the color of the red a little bit because it is kind of a more muted stickle effect. So that's my goal anyway. So let's just set that aside for now, and let's go to work on our card. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball this. There's not going to be much overhang here, and that's okay. I just wanted a little bit because I want to put a piece of ribbon around it. So basically I'm going to just have one tape width is about all the overhang I'm going to have. And that's one of the beauties of making your own cards. There's really no rules. You do what you like, and just make sure that as long as you like it, it's okay. I would rather, if I have a little bit of craft showing on the bottom, a little bit wider margin on the bottom, I would rather have that than have to go back and trim. Okay, so that's going to go just like that. Oh yeah, that'll be good. Okay, so then I went to my stash of ribbon, and this obviously is not going to be a scrap, and I'm going to cut a pretty generous piece. I got this ribbon from giftsinternational.com, and if you haven't been there, they have a lot of ribbon, and it's very inexpensive. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm just going to adhere it to the back and bring it around to the front. And that's why I'm being so generous, because I don't want to do anything with that right now. So now the next step is going to be to start putting our ice cream cone together. So on this, we're going to adhere the vanilla to the ice cream cone. I think I'm going to use my Xyron for this just because I'm kind of pressed for time, and that is a really quick way I've discovered of doing it. You do have to be a little bit careful that you don't stick it. You've got to be sure you stick it in the right place the first time or you're in trouble. But other than that, I love using my Xyron. It saves me a lot of time. So let's just adhere this down. Now, because I'm doing a double dip cone, I'm going to have a little bit of difficulty with the cherry, so we're just going to have to eyeball it when it's time to put the cherry on top. And then this is going to be a little bit tricky because I want to cover up the whole piece. There we go, just like that. There we go. And then I'll wait to put the cherry on for a minute. Now we're going to just kind of see where we're going to place it so I can figure out where I want my stamps to go. And I think we'll probably put this probably about like that. And then today I'm going to show you exactly how I place my stamps. What I do, I think that will go right like that. And I think this one will go right like that. So I just place my stamps where I want it, and especially when I have something larger like this, I take my Fiskars stamp and I just put it right like that, and then it's all placed exactly the way I want it. So then we're going to take our gathered twigs, and I need to be sure that I ink this really well because they're so far spread apart. I just don't want to stamp half an image on either one. So I've made, I think, only one project so far this week using coffee, and yet I'm using the coffee and tea set, which I really love that versatility with these stamps. You know, I originally didn't think I would want the Halloween set because I'm not into Halloween, and I like fall, but I'm just not into Halloween. And I have to tell you, I've used it over and over again. I absolutely love that set. So it just shows how versatile everything is. Now, I goofed up on the back because when I looked at the back, I was looking at where the white came down, and I should have actually looked at where I want it to go over my line. So I better replace that just like so. Okay. And actually there's just enough sticky left on there that I think I can just do because I'm going to adhere that to my card. This is definitely going on the fly. I was at work yesterday, and I have to be leaving for work very soon today, and I didn't want to have to, I get off at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't want to have to put this card together when I got off this morning or tomorrow morning. And so I thought, oh, I better go do that real quick. There we go. So now we're starting to come together, and let's go ahead and tie our bow. And I want it kind of towards this right hand side because if you remember, on this left hand is where I'm going to put my little ice cream cone. Now, it's next week is the week for my card club to meet again, and we last month it was all tags. Well, this month our card club is the theme is, you know, I think I want to go, sorry, I'm trying to think and talk at the same time. I think what I'm going to do, I'm not going to tie a bow this time, which I know there's a lot of waste, but I can just save it for another project. I'm just going to leave that just like that until we get the ice cream cone, because I may decide not to tie a bow so that the tails are going up the card instead of down. Okay, so let's just put our ice cream cone right there. There we go. And then find our little cherry, and I'm going to kind of bring that down just a little bit so we don't cover up the bottom. There we go. And then, no, I think it needs a bow. But what I was saying about my card club is next week is when my card club meets again, and we're starting a new term, and so we've added a few members. So they're actually, last cycle there were only 7 of us, and this cycle there are going to be 10 of us. And as quickly as this card went together, and since I have to make 10 of them, I'm thinking this is going to be the perfect card or a take on this card for my card club, don't you think? I think they'll really like it. And most of the people in my card club are not coffee drinkers, and so this will be a great way to use this set without coffee. So there we go. And I'll play with that bow and you'll see the picture later. I'll get that trimmed up and fixed up later. But let's just do something fun on the inside, just because, no, you know, I think I'm just going to leave it. So I'll play with this bow a little bit, get it set, and we're all done for today. One more thing I want to do is I want to take my frosted lace stickles, I guess, before I finish up, and just go over the top, because I'm just hoping, and it looks like it will. I mean, it adds a little bit of texture and interest to the card, but it also kind of mutes out that red just a little bit, and kind of just takes away from it saying bright red. So thanks for watching, and come back tomorrow for another great project. Have a great day.